Hi guys, this is Carmela Saleh of the Sunny Rock Kitchen, talking to you on a beautiful sunny day in British Columbia, Canada. Finally, it looks like summer is here. Just about time, eh? We had a bit of sunshine in May, but then most of June was rainy, and now finally the heat is there and the sunshine, so making the most of it. See, I'm surrounded by beautiful flowers, and hopefully the gardens will start to bloom too. So I guess it's been a little while since I gave you some news of how it's going health-wise. The last big thing was that I released some parasites, so 3 pretty large, adult roundworms, and I had a feeling that it was gonna really help with my intestines, for the healing of my intestines, and I was mostly right. I had been plateauing before that, before releasing the worms. I felt like I could only, there was these foods I could eat and there was no real progress being made, but after the worms were released, I started to be able to include more food, so I had some progress going. But there was this one thing that wouldn't go away, and that's pain here just at the bottom of my left rib, and it's really hard to describe. It's like I constantly have something underneath there, and it's like having a balloon underneath, and it feels kind of weird. And when I eat, I would notice that sometimes I would have gas, I would call it bubbles, it felt like bubbles were going through, and that was really uncomfortable. And yeah, and I guess for a while, and I noticed that whenever I had sugar, that it got worse. So my idea, I thought that it was because that's where the worms were and that's what they fed on. But after doing a batch of worm medication and then doing a second one 2 weeks later, the pain was still there. So I was wondering, well, maybe it's something else, eh? So I looked online, and then sure enough, I found the exact symptoms. There's actually 2 possibilities, which are somewhat related, I think. One of them is, they call it, what is it? Flexure, oh, I forgot. So, Splenic Flexure syndrome, something like that, and it's a form of IBS, and that's what I was talking about. The gas, it's like the gas gets all trapped in that just before the colon starts to descend. That's where the gas gets trapped, and that's what I feel. Another possibility is fructose malabsorption or intolerance, and that I thought, well, I wasn't sure about that because there is, a condition that is hereditary, but it can be caused by having too much bacteria in your guts. So before the fructose has a chance to be absorbed, the bacteria goes for it to feed on it, which of course, makes them stronger, and it creates gas, and hence the intestines can get a chance to heal. So I was pretty sure that was, it was one of those 2 things or both. So finally, and then doing research on how to heal it, I was led once again to the SCD diet, the specific carbohydrate diet. That was, I don't know, I think it was developed by Dr. Haas, but it was made quite popular by a woman called Elaine Gottschall in the book Breaking the Vicious Cycle. And so what she explains in there and kind of lays down the ground for that SCD diet is that simple carbohydrates can be digested easily in the body. Complex carbohydrates, which are starches and grains, for example, these are the process is a lot more complex for the body to absorb, and transform the fructose. And what happens then, the body, whenever the intestines are compromised, it has a hard time functioning, in the first place, right? So if the digestion can be done properly, then that, those sugars, the carbohydrates, whatever is not digested, it's not that it goes just through the bowels and out. I mean, if that was the case, that would be easy. But in actuality, what happens, that, those sugars and carbohydrates keep traveling down the intestines, and there, the bacteria have a, big feast, and that creates, gas, and they release toxins and creates mucus, and then that feeds, the bacteria, creates more intestinal problems, and then here's that vicious cycle. That then, because you have more problems, you can't digest the food properly, and it ferments, and etc. etc. So when I've heard about it. It's come to me maybe 10-15 times, that SCD diet, but I was so resistant to it because it felt very controlled, and it's very, limiting. And quite frankly, the only foods I could tolerate were actually carbohydrates in terms of my intestines. The only food I could digest without irritating my bowels. So, digest. I guess, partially digest, I guess a big part of it was going on to feed the bacteria, and that's why I think I wasn't getting any better. So I was really scared to start the diet, and because of the fact that it says no starches, no carbohydrates at all. The complex carbohydrates. And the other thing is it's heavily based on animal products, and of course, I've been vegan for 15 years, so I was, I didn't see how it would be possible for me to be on the diet, how it would be sustainable. But then, with the fact that my gut felt stronger, and I could eat a bit more than I could before, I thought, okay, finally I'm going to give this a try. And I kind of saw it as my last, the last chance, because I don't see, what else, can there be for me to heal what's going on in my gut. So I finally, decided to, I woke up one morning and I said, Dawn, I'm going to be a warrior and take on this SCD diet, give it a try for 30 days and see what happens. So it's been extremely difficult. See, when I was on the shakes before, and I thought, well, I've done shakes for 7 weeks, I can do anything now. But the thing with shakes, just like when you're fasting, because it's just liquid, you don't really have an appetite, so it's not so hard to continue. But when you're eating, then you're hungry, right? And the thing is, with this, with the CD diet, you start off with carrot and chicken broth, which I had tried and muscle tested for, and it said it was okay. So I had to expand my mind and say, all right, because it's highly anti-inflammatory. So I thought, okay, I'm going to try the chicken broth. So carrot, chicken broth, and what else? Eggs, which I've reintroduced, and that was pretty much all I could eat. So I decided, okay, I'm going to introduce wild salmon, which is, fish. It's still a being that's being killed, but I thought, well, fish doesn't feel quite as bad, so I thought maybe I could have, salmon every second day or something, because I need sustenance. So anyway, so these are the things I started with, and then after, the day one, it was tough. Day two, it was really rough, and the thing, the pain in, just underneath here got worse. So I was like, what's going on? And so I did, look more into it, and it turns out that there's not only fructose in fruit and sugars and whatever, there's also fructose in vegetables. And see, so carrots, so the thing is about the ratio of fructose and glucose. If they're almost, even, when they're even, they get absorbed more readily in the bloodstream. And then if there's more fructose, then it's, harder to assimilate. So again, because the gut, is compromised, then the fructose, instead of being absorbed, then, the bad bugs, get it first, and then it keeps feeding the whole cycle, right? So there I was, it felt like a catch-22 that the bulk of the diet, because it's all in phases. You know, you do the intro for 2 to 5 days, and then you start gradually adding more different foods that are the easiest to digest, because that's the whole idea, right? To eat everything that's really easy to digest so that there's no byproduct for the bacteria to feed on, and then there's a die-off that happens. So you're starving the bacteria. So it turns out the vegetables that I was supposed to eat were actually giving me a problem. So I was like, what am I going to do? And I was freaking out. And finally, it came to me, well, one thing at a time. First, really focus on killing the bacteria, and then I can focus on the fructose malabsorption problem. So what I decided to do is, have some squash and have carrots, but reduce the amount. So I have, half a cup at a time every 2 hours, at least. No more, no sooner than that, to give a bit of a chance, for my body to absorb it. And yeah, so that I felt good about at least coming up with a plan that was workable. But yeah, I still felt really shaky in the first few days. And then came my first bowel movement, and then I knew that this is working, because I had major Candida mucus in my stools. So I'm not sure, it was dark brown, so some say it's Candida colonies that are dead. So so I've had that, and then I've had white mucus come out, and so it just felt good to see some result, that something's going on, that the bacteria is dying at some point, and gives a chance for the whole balance of my gut to be reestablished. So I've reintroduced probiotics sooner than what they called for in the SCD diet, because I'd been taking them all along, so I felt that would be a good thing to do. So I've been taking probiotics. So the diet is still, it's been 8 days now. It's still very, very difficult, because like I said, there's a lot of cravings. I'm very limited in what I can eat, and believe it or not, one of the highlights of my day is having a bowl of Jello, which is, I make it from scratch with organic gelatin, but just being able, I use the medicinal flowers with flower extracts, which again is such a blessing, because then I can get different flavors, and then I use stevia for a sweetener, and it's so nice to have something different, than eggs and and a little bit of squash here and there, and chicken broth, and oh man, it's been tough. But really, I'm confident that this is the way out. I don't see. I mean, the basis of the SCD diet, it was developed by a doctor, and it was proven scientifically that anybody with any kind of digestive problems really benefited from doing that SCD diet. And it makes sense, that you starve the bacteria, and you get a chance to build up, rebuild your intestinal flora. So, right, so I'm starting to think that 30 days probably won't be enough. But I'll take it one day at a time. And so yeah, another tough thing is that because I have to limit my carbohydrates so much, the squashes and I have no fruit right now. So because of that, I don't have a lot of energy. So like this morning, I was totally whacked, and I had just a little burst of energy. So I thought I might as well do this video, because it might never get done otherwise. So yeah, so it's I think in some ways it's tougher than the elemental diet that I did for all these weeks. But yeah, what price am I ready to pay to get back to health? It's been, I don't know, I've been having health issues since December 1st, pretty much. So and today is the 1st of July, so it's been 7 months. I'm ready for, I'm like there's two guys, Jordan and Steve, that have worked with the Breaking the Vicious Cycle and put like their tweaks to it, to the SCD diet, and I'll put the link in at the bottom of this video. So they were saying that no, and I lost my train of thought. See, not much energy. If I remember, I'll write it down at the bottom of the video. So right, so that's what's happening. I'm gonna put on, if I can muster the energy, I'm gonna have a birthday sale, because I'm gonna be turning 42 in just a few days. I know I was just telling Dawn that there's not much to celebrate, but Dawn said, life. Right, so yeah, I guess the rest of my body is still functional, and you know, birds are singing and the flowers are growing and the sun is shining, so that's something to be grateful for. And well, that's, you know, all the news and all the energy I have. So yeah, I think about you guys. It feels like I'm in a parallel life now. You know, everything has changed so much. My whole world has been turned upside down with this whole health saga. But yeah, not much choice but to accept what's being presented. Otherwise, it's, you know, resistance is a waste of energy, and I can have, you know, I need all the energy that I can get. So anyways, sending you my love and my sunny thoughts, and I'll hopefully get back to you not too long, and with some good news. So bye for now.